Need help with your Medicare choices? Well, let Medicare.gov help you. I know that sounds like a sales pitch for the government, but I'm telling you, it's actually a pretty cool thing. I'm going to share with you the website where you can use to find your own help in terms of choosing your Medicare plans, and from the Medicare.gov. So welcome to Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel, my friends, the place you come to learn about Medicare and how that fits in with your overall financial planning. I am not an expert on Medicare, Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements. I'm not. But I know enough to at least inform you of what you need to do to become your own personal expert, because who cares about your health more than you? Certainly not some insurance agent, that's for sure, and certainly not some insurance company, and certainly not the government. So don't forget to subscribe down below, and if you do, hit the bell to be notified for future content. So let's dive right into this. Real quick, so what happened was I've been in financial planning going on 25 years now, and up until about 6 months ago, I had no clue about Medicare. And then I listened to a podcast by this guy named J.O. And if you follow my blog and my podcast and the YouTube channel, you know Jay and I do the state-by-state analysis of Medicare planning. We haven't heard from Jay in a week because we have annual enrollment for Medicare programs right now. And because of pretty significant changes in 2019, Jay's running around like a chicken with his head cut off, on top of doing all these presentations he does all over the state of Michigan and down into Florida. I don't think he has anything outside of Florida and Michigan for the next couple of months. But anyway, so I haven't heard much from Jay lately, and that's good because he's busy. But anyway, long story short, I said 6 months ago, I said, man, I don't know anything about Medicare. And yet, as Jay said, health insurance could be a significant cost to you from a financial planning perspective. How that is not being included other than an afterthought in financial plans boggles the mind, and I could not agree that more. So I started doing some research on Medicare, and I realized how ignorant I was, and it was frightening, actually. So I signed on to Medicare.gov just to get their updates, their email list, and this one came out to me the other day because, again, annual enrollment, October 15th to December 7th, you have Pearl Harbor Day. So what that means is if you're 64, you really need to get thinking about this for sure. 3 months before 65 years old, you got to get your name in the hopper there to make sure you're signed up for at least Part A. All right. Part A is the hospitalization part of Medicare, and it's free. And it's free because you pay taxes for it, but there's no premium for that. Now, if you're still employed, your employer might still offer you their own health insurance, in which case a lot of times they'll say we're secondary to Medicare once you reach 65, which means you're also going to want to sign up for Part B as well. Some employers say we still have everything, so you don't need to sign up for Part B. But really, there's no reason not to sign up for Part A. So at least get your name in there for at least Part A, if nothing else. So Part B may or may not be you need to sign up for, depending on what your employer says. But generally speaking, I would think they'd say go ahead and sign up for Part B because we'll be secondary to Medicare, which will be primary. Now, Part C is Medicare Advantage plans. All right, so Medicare Advantage plans are the cheaper ones in terms of it gives you potentially prescription drug coverage, and it includes Part A and Part B, all inclusive a lot of times of Part A, Part B, and Part D, which is prescription drug coverages, into one plan, Part C. The drawback about Medicare Advantage plans, MA plans, is they are in network, right? So they're PPO or HMO. And if you live in a smaller community or if you do a lot of traveling, it might be hard to find a doc in your network. That's just a fact. If you're in a big area like Atlanta or Los Angeles or something like that, you're probably just fine. But I mean, I don't know. You have to do that research yourself. Medicare supplemental policies or Medigap policies, what that is original Medicare Part A, Part B, but they're going to have lots of other benefits on top of that. And any doctor throughout the nation who takes Medicare will take your Medicare supplemental policy. That's just a fact. So there's no network other than the network of Medicare as a whole. Now, if you do sign up for Medicare supplemental policies, you're still going to want a Part D policy to go with that. All right, that's a prescription drug. So sometimes a Part C will include Part D, and it includes Part A and B inherently. We know for a fact with Medicare Advantage, any plan that's out there has to have an out-of-pocket limit, expense limit. So you know for a fact the max you will pay for your health. That's just a fact. One of the benefits about Medicare Advantage plans. You can have Medicare A and B, what's called the original Medicare, and D, prescription drugs, without a Medigap or without a Medicare Advantage plan, which just means you're incurring some risk. You might not want to. So I'll just let you figure that one out. I'd say if nothing else, if costs are concerned, then at least look at Medicare Advantage so you can limit your exact amount of out-of-pocket expenses. All right, so let's dive into what Medicare.gov sent me the other day in terms of how to help with my Medicare choices. They say there are two main ways to get your Medicare coverage. Original Medicare, Part A and B. So A is a hospitalization, B is a physician services, and B, you do have to pay a premium, $134 a month or more, depending on your income. And that's your modified adjusted gross income, not your taxable income. Or Medicare Advantage Plan, Part C. Original Medicare doesn't cover everything. So many people buy additional coverage like a prescription drug plan, Part D, and a supplemental Medigap policy, Medicare supplemental policy or Medigap. What type of Medicare coverage is right for you? Here are the 5 questions to help you decide. Do you want your Medicare coverage to include prescription drugs? Yes, I do. Do you want extra coverage to help pay 20% of your bills original Medicare does not cover? Yeah, absolutely. Because don't forget, 20% of the bills your original Medicare doesn't cover could be pretty significant. Do you want Medicare to cover for vision and or dental? Yeah, I do. And again, we're going to go for all this right here on the top just to see what they give us for a starting point. Do you travel a lot or live in another state part of the year? Now, what this tells me right there, and I should tell you, if this is a yes for you, you got to be careful about your MA, Medicare Advantage plans, because Medigap is everyone's in network who accepts Medicare. Medicare Advantage plans are in network into the insurance company puts together these networks. And if you are traveling a lot, the doc you have here in Atlanta might not be the same doctor, or you might not be able to get the same kind of coverage in Tulsa, Oklahoma, for instance. So just keep that in mind. Do you want Medicare coverage for frequent international travel? I'm going to say no, because I do not want to do any frequent international travel. So let's see what here. View our results. Based on your answers, you may want to join a Medicare Plan D, to get prescription drug coverage and buy a Medigap policy to help you with your out-of-pocket costs. I completely concur. Medigap is extra health insurance you buy from a private company to pay for some or all of the 20% of the bills that original Medicare does not cover. Since you travel a lot or live in another state, their limited network of a Medicare Advantage plan might not be for you. I could not agree with that more. So in this case, just because I do travel a lot from state to state, let's just say I did, or my kids live in California, I live in Georgia, or whatever, I want a Medigap plan, most likely a Medicare supplemental. Advantage. With Medigap policy, you can choose any doctor that accepts Medicare. Just keep that in mind. With some Medigap policies cover additional benefits like skilled nursing and emergency care abroad. Things to consider, you'll pay separate monthly premiums for your Medicare Part D and your Medicare Part B. Medigap doesn't cover routine dental care or vision care. If you don't get a Medigap plan when you're first eligible, you may pay more, or the plan may even deny coverage based on your health. So again, if you don't get a Medigap plan right out of the gate, and you try to get a Medigap plan later, they could say, "Oh, Scanlon, sorry, no help. You're not healthy enough. We don't want you." If you don't get Medicare drug coverage when you're first eligible and you don't have any other creditable drug coverage, you'll have to pay a lifetime penalty to get it later. I got no problem with that. That's what it's called to say, look, we can't have you getting insurance when your house is burning down. You got to pay for insurance before your house burns down so we can spread the risk on many insured. I got no problem with that at all. And again, you can't have Medigap and a Medicare Advantage plan. So they talk about browse Plan D drug plans with original Medicare and find a Medigap policy in your area. So I don't want to click on that yet. I want to go back and change my plan. So just real quick, don't forget to go to my video on why you need a broker, because we talked about Elaine Floyd. And Elaine Floyd is she's on Medicare right now. And she was saying when she went to Medicare.gov to find the policies in her area, they didn't offer the same as I think it was Aetna, United Healthcare, or something like that. And that boggled my mind. So she was like, how come some of these plans are on Medicare.gov, but some aren't? It's crazy. So that concerns me greatly, actually. So that's why you need a broker like Jay, someone who can say, hey, here are all the plans that are out there without relying on the software architects on Medicare.gov. And certainly United Health Plan isn't going to offer the Aetna plans and stuff like that. They're a for-profit company. They're not there to turn business away to send them to Aetna. All right, so let's go back to see how I change my plans. Change your answers. So one thing I want to do here, let's do international. I'm just curious to see what it says. I'm sure it's got to be Medigap. Yeah. So internationally, they still want Medigap. Oh, and don't forget, Medigap costs a lot more than Medicare Advantage too, my friends. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Medigap costs a lot more than Medicare Advantage. Some Medicare Advantage plans don't cost anything. So I want extra help. Yep. Let's say I don't travel a lot and I don't do any international. I bet this will give me a different, Medicare Advantage. So a couple of things going on here, my friends. We'll just wrap this up. And let's just see. View Medicare plan. I tell you what, I do want to go back. I'll go back just a second. How do I change my answers right there? I want to go back to Medigap. We'll say click. We'll say Krakow. So if you're not traveling much, I want to find Medigap policies in our area. Let's see where it takes us to. So while we're waiting on this, see this, man, this is where I was talking about that it didn't, we'll say Fulton County. Let's see what they come up with. View policies. No policies are found in my search criteria. I mean, that's just crazy. There are maybe because they know that I'm under 65. All right, that might be it. I don't know. Maybe, I think that's it because I already logged in and signed up, so they know I'm under 65. So I'm just curious. What if we view policies by company? All right, but okay. So here, the following companies offer Medigap policies in my zip code, but because I'm under the age of 65, they're not going to show it to me. So you got to look at all these individual. And so you click on view policies and you'll get this huge list again, because I'm under 65. That's too bad. Let's just real quick view all. Will they let us do this here? Or do it always default to say I'm under the age of 65? Let's see here, my friends. Is it thinking? Well, we're waiting for this to happen. So a couple things when it comes to Medigap and Medicare Advantage. If you have the money, say $100 to $200 a month, Medigap is, I'm not going to say the way to go, but you have no networks. I mean, the entire network is your Medicare. Whoever takes Medicare will take you. That's just a huge benefit. So if you do travel and you have, an extra $150 a month, we'll just say on top of the $134 a month for your Part B, on top of the $35 a month in Part D, Medigap, in my opinion, would be the way to go. If you don't have a whole lot of disposable income maybe you don't travel, then Medicare Advantage is the way to go. So if you're not traveling, Medicare Advantage, absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, there's nothing wrong with Medicare Advantage, nothing at all. Just see if they have docs in network of the places that you intend to travel to. But I'm just telling you, from a default, for me, I go to Medigap because I know once you're in, you cannot be kicked off. And I know I'm in network all the time. Now, if I ever get a cash crunch, you can always go to Medicare Advantage from there without underwriting. That's for sure. And Medicare Advantage is cheaper. No other way around that. So if I ever had a cash crunch, I said, man, my daughter lives in Seattle with 8 of my grandkids. I'd love to go see it, but I just don't have the money to go. And I don't see a doc from a Medicare Advantage. And I'm going to have her come to see me in Atlanta or something like that. So it's really on your cash flow and whether or not you're going to do a lot of traveling. That's just a preliminary. I mean, again, I am not an expert. I don't sell this stuff. I don't get paid on this. Talk to a broker for sure. Don't rely on Medicare.gov to give you the answers because they just don't. But in terms of this little technique, I'm a big fan of it, and I'll put a link to the show notes. Remember, if you don't sign up for at least Part A at 65, you're going to get penalized, my friends, big time. You cannot not do that. You have to, or else you're going to pay significant penalties. And there'll be penalties will be there for the rest of your life. It's not just a one-time deal. It's for the rest of your life if you don't do it. So as always, like what you see here, don't forget to subscribe. Thumbs up always help me. Comments help a lot too. Comments, questions, thoughts, put them in the show notes. Additions, if you have your own thoughts on what you've gone through, put in the show notes. And you'll go to the blog at heritagewealthplanning.com. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.